Okay, this one's actually quite fun as opposed to the other ones that probably aren't that fun. We're going to investigate some list elements. This is Make Something Happen 1 of Chapter 6 of Begin to Code with JavaScript, which you can find on begintocodewithjavascript.com. If you've just dropped in on the off chance, you can get the whole shooting match there, including a copy of the first draft of the book and links to a podcast series that keys in with these little videos that show you bits in the book that are really hard to explain without a screen and some stuff. The story so far: we have a ride selector program for our theme park, and we're trying to make it better. I can put my age in. Let's put my age in as 10 and hit check my rides. And I can go on 3 rides: Scenic River Cruise, Carousel and Water Splash. These 2 I can't go on until I am 12, at which point everything is available to me. If I get old, if I get to 71 years of age, then everything but the regurgitator, which is a somewhat threatening and dangerous sounding ride, roller coaster I think, is open to me. So this all works fine. This is not news because we've seen this program working fine before, but what we haven't seen is just how wonderfully this program is structured. And part of that structure is sort of working for us because we're using data attributes in HTML elements. And if you haven't seen these before, these are truly stunning. If you haven't seen these before, you haven't watched the previous parts of this course. So what are you doing here? Go back in time or go somewhere. Anyway, let's have a look at how this all fits together. So I'm going to do some things. I'm going to open up the console. So I can have a look in developer view. Here's my console. I can now type commands and control the browser in JavaScript. And the first thing I will do, I want to get hold of the element that controls the list of rides. That is called, well, I've given it the name ride list. So if I do this, then it says make me a variable called ride list element and make it refer to the element which has got the ID ride list. Boom, got it. I get an answer back undefined because that's how these things work. The JavaScript console doesn't get a result from that function call, so it doesn't display one. But if I now take a look at what it has delivered, then let's see what happens. This is actually this. It's what shows the rides, and it's showing me in a rather nice viewer, which is offering me the enticing possibility of pressing this triangle. Bing! Now it's showing me all the individual list items. Wonderful things are happening here. As I roll my mouse over the things in the list of items that the console is showing me, you will see them lighting up on the left hand side. So I can actually browse through the code, browse through the object model that represents the page and see those attributes being displayed before me, which is really rather cute. And this ride list element thing, if I could type it right, would be grand, has got attributes of its own, one of which is called children. Won't somebody think of the children? The list element is the thing that holds everything. If I put it on there, then everything lights up. There you go. Each of these individual elements is a child of that. And if I say go forth and get me the 0th child, which sounds like the name of a film starring Bruce Willis, mind you, what do I know, then that gets me this chappie, Scenic River Cruise. You'll never guess what happens if I ask for element number 1. I get the next one. So I have got a way of actually in a program using a numeric value, in this case the thing here called an index, to get hold of one of the items in the list. So element 0 is the first element in the list, element 1 is the next one. If I go all the way up to element 4, which I can do because I can count, there you go, I get the regurgitator. That is actually the 5th ride, but there is no 5th element in the array. Because if I do this, go and get me the 5th one, I get an undefined because we've only got 5 of them, but they are numbered 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 on your finger, on your fingers on your hand, you use a whole hand's worth, which is 5. It's annoying or Slightly counterintuitive that JavaScript likes to start counting things at 0. No one ever says, pass me the 0th apple in the bowl, please, or the 0, whatever. They don't do that. We count at 1, but for various reasons, JavaScript likes to index its collections because that's what we're doing. This children thing is a collection of items or a container. It likes to index things starting from 0, and that means that if there's 5 of them, the top one, the one at the end, will have the number 4. If you want to think about it, then think about it in terms of how far down you travel from the starting point to get to the one you want. So 0 takes you to the first house on the street. I mean, in theory, yeah, houses should be numbered from 0, but they aren't. But that's a whole new ball game. Another ball game, which is kind of new, is that actually some languages do start counting from 1. So if you think that's not how it's supposed to be, then there is no such thing as supposed to be. Some people have ideas they count at 1. Some people have ideas they count at 0. JavaScript goes from 0. Deal with it. It would be nice if we could find out how many elements there actually were in the list, so we could work through them in some way. So if I go right list element, get hold of children, if I could type it, and then go length, that will tell me how many elements there are. So I'm limbering up here to get to a point where I can write a program that will spin through all the lists in my rides, all these guys here, and draw each one up for me or do things with it. And notice here we've got the attributes giving the minimum and maximum age values for the various rides as well. They're all part of the HTML, but they've been loaded into the HTML document, which is the thing manipulated by the JavaScript programming language in the web page. So in terms of how things work, we've got some quite funky stuff here. We can whiz through collections, we can use these indexes to get hold of them, and we can find out how many of them there are. So all we want to do now is find a way of working through them and actually doing stuff with them to process them and make them go green or red to indicate whether the ride can be used or not. That is in the next part of the book. So I'll see you back there in a second.